Hello, Jenna Dix here. So you have decided I want to get involved more in the Republican Party in the state of Minnesota. The first step is finding what we call your BPOU, your basic political organization unit. Or think like your local club, your local chapter of the Republican Party, right? Just like Girl Scouts or American Legions, they are the big organization, and then they have local organizations or local, American Legion, bar restaurants, things of that sort across the state. You don't just all go to one. Same with the Republican Party. You would attend if you decide, I want to get really involved. One of the best first steps is attending your local BPOU meeting, which typical BPOU meetings are happening about once per month. It's a great way to find out what's going on, not only within the Republican Party as a whole and the Minnesota GOP, but also finding out what's going on in your local community as well and how you can help support the Republican mission. So how to do this? A couple ways. So first way, you can go to the Minnesota GOP.org website and hit the contact button and send a message over to them and just say, hey, I want to get more involved. This is my address. This is where I live. And I want to attend my BPOU meeting. Where do I go? And they can share that way. But if you want to be more active and you're like, I don't want to have to wait for a response, I'm anxious to find out right now, you can definitely do that on your own. It does take a couple steps, but trust me, if you follow my little quick guide here, along with the links that I'll post down below, it's not that difficult. So step number one, you'll need to head over to the Secretary of State page and go to the Senate map, and it breaks down the whole state. Minnesota is divided into 8 sections, or 8 congressional districts, and then each of those congressional districts is broken down as well. Senate districts, House districts, things of that sort, right? But knowing all those numbers, what congressional district am I? What Senate district am I? What House district am I? What precinct am I? All these numbers, right, are helpful. What I suggest is find out what yours are, which I'll tell you. Write them down, save them in your phone, something of that sort. All those numbers are not only going to be helpful when you find your BPOU, but they'll be helpful as you get more involved, because it's going to help you, number one, when people ask you where you're from, you can tell them. But it also will be helpful on election day. So you can use the map if you know exactly where you live in the map. In the Twin Cities, it's pretty dense, so it is a little bit harder to look at and figure out exactly where you're at. So what I recommend is clicking on the poll finder, and you just type in your address, and it gives you all that information that I just said, all those numbers, right? Your congressional district, your Senate district, your House district. I mean, it gets down to the specifics of like your county commissioner and your school district, all those logistics. Like I said, write them down. You don't need to memorize them. Nothing fancy, but just write those numbers down. And then what you're going to do is head back to MinnesotaGOP.org, click on resources, click on local party units, and you're going to look at one of 2 sections. So the first section, there's one for the BPOUs themselves. You can scroll, find, okay, what Senate district? They're typically broken down by the Senate district, which you have that number written down now, or by the county you live in, depending. So look for your Senate district. If you don't see that, you should see your county. And then behind it, it'll have their website or their Facebook link, something of that sort. So you can reach out and find out, hey, when are your meetings? I want to be there. Or if you look, you find, okay, I'm Senate District 47. I know that my Senate district is listed with their website and with their Facebook, but let's pretend that it's not, because some of them do not have it listed. Then you, right from that same party resources section, and then you click on local party units again, but you click on congressional districts. And remember, that was that first one I talked about. Minnesota's broken down into 8 sections, 8 congressional districts. Reach out to your big one. Reach out to your congressional district, because every single one of those do have websites, do have links that you can click on to get in contact with somebody. Send them a message and say, hey, where do I go? because this actually typically is taking out a step, because often when you're reaching out to the GOP, incredibly helpful resource, but they're still going to give you that contact point that you're going to reach out to, if you follow these steps yourself. So you're kind of just cutting out the middleman and you're reaching out to that BPOU yourself. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoy your first BPOU meeting. We are looking forward to growing the Minnesota grassroots and expanding the Republican Party.